Hey guys, I'm going to do a little tutorial video on how to use the action camera, what are its advantages, disadvantages, and it's going to be a general movement and camera guide for Guild Wars. So let's get right into it. First of all, I'm not in action camera mode right now. My keybind for action camera is control. So I press control, boom, now I'm in action camera. Uh, so action camera comes with a few advantages. One, it allows you to move uh, at full movement in any direction, and really you can place your camera wherever it wants to be too. So right now, my camera's facing forward. If I want to move to the left, I just hold down A, and I can maintain my camera direction while moving at full speed. If I'm not using action camera, I cannot do that, or it's very difficult to do that. What you would have to do is you would have to orient your character with the left click on the mouse, and then you would have to kind of steer them with WASD. You have to hold down W and then use S and D to sort of orient your character. As you can see, it's very hard to change direction this way. The other way to move is in this mode is to use the right click. So you hold down right click, it allows you to move your camera in whatever direction you want. Um, Now this is a decent way to move, but it's kind of a bad camera orientation because it doesn't allow you to look at your enemies. So you can't actually to look around. You have to switch between left click and right click and moving your camera around, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. With the action cam, you just point your camera wherever you want to go, and then WASD allows you to move at full speed. Now moving at full speed is very important because there are a few ways to move in this game. One is strafing. So I have strafe rife set up to yeah, strafe rife I have on the F key. Strafing is slower than walking, and I'll show you what that looks like. So right now I'm strafing, and then I'll turn on action camera, and this is full running. And you can see it's kind of emphasized because I'm a Char character. They get on all fours when they run at full speed when they don't have their weapon out. Um, so this is strafing, this is full running. And this is a big deal in Wonder World. Even more dramatic is walking backwards. This is what walking backwards looks like. This is the S key, if you're holding down the S key. On a regular camera, this is S key on action camera. Now, uh, with uh, with the regular camera, if you want to move backwards, you kind of have to move your camera, and that can be a big disadvantage because it means you can't see the enemy group if you're trying to run away. Now you can kind of get around this by key binding some things. Important key binds to have just if you're not going to use the action camera, you need to have strafe left, strafe right, about face set. This is what about face does. It's mine set to down arrow. Rotates your character. So say I'm moving this way and I want to quickly change direction. Boom, about face. I just 180. If you're not going to use action camera, you need to have about face key binded. Another important thing to have key binded is in the camera setting, it's look behind. So if you're not going to use action camera, you should have look behind set up, and allows you to just press a button and boom, I'm looking behind myself. This allows me to see my allies that are behind me and my enemies that are chasing me. So I'm going to go over a few scenarios on how to use skills with the action camera right now. So whenever you're moving in a direction and then you cast an ability with a cast time. So for instance, my book, pulling out my book has a cast time. And what happens is, see my character changes their orientation. This is more emphasized when I use this cone ability. So this is a cone. Even more important is the stab hook. This gives stability to allies. Uh, if I'm moving backwards and I have my camera pointing backwards and I cast this ability, I'll turn around and cast it behind me. So if I want to cast it at people in front of me, I turn my camera around and then switch to W key and then do that. Um, so that's all well and good, and it takes a little bit of time adjusting to, but it's pretty easy. The big problem is with long casting skills and with instant cast skills. This is the biggest weakness of the action camera, is instant cast skills like these mantras. These mantras are cones, and you have to point them at your allies for them to actually do anything. So, say I'm running backwards, and we're getting chased by an enemy group, and one of our, one of your teammates gets stunned and you want to stun break them. Well, if you cast your stun break mantra, it's just going to go in front of you because it's instant cast. That's one of the quirks of the action cam. So you actually have to change your character orientation to be pointing in the direction where you want the mantras to go. So in an actual situation, it would look like this. I'd be running backwards and I'd want to press the W key, wait for my character to orientate, and then cast the mantra. And this is what it would look like in real time. Now, that'll slow you down a bit. However, there's not really any really good way to cast the mantra behind you when you're trying to run away. If you're doing it like this, you have to turn around and cast it. It slows you down either way. It's just kind of a matter of, what's more convenient for you. Something the action camera is very good at, though, is long cast time abilities, placing them behind you. So the other night, Para saw that we had a Guardian going down. He said, hey, I need someone to res that. No one res them, and Para got very angry. Now, if you had the action camera, now I don't know why this happened. I don't know why we didn't get the res off, but I suspect that it's because people were running like this. They weren't looking at the enemies, and they weren't looking at their allies behind them, and they were just in full run mode. With action cam on, you can be in full run mode, and you can be seeing everything that's happening behind you. More importantly, right now, I have this Signet of Mercy ready to cast. So say someone's starting to go low, and I think, oh, they might die. I can start targeting where I think they're going to go down. So I just put that on that target, follow them, and when they go down, I can left click, and it'll start to cast. Now, like I said before, with action camera on, anything with a cast time is going to turn your character around. This is kind of a problem because it'll slow you down, but you can get around this by quickly turning your camera back around. You got to whip your mouse and it'll turn you back around. So I'll show you what this looks like in real time. Say we're running away. Guy's about to go down. I cast it now, whip my camera back around, and then boom, I'm running at full speed. I'm casting it. I'm getting away. That's one of the implementations of the action camera. I think it's very advantageous and preferable to the regular camera. And then I'll show you, oops, that's not it. I'll show you one more situation where I think the action cam is really superior, and that's on Scourge. This is actually what made me want to use the action camera in the first place. The Scepter 3 on the Scourge is kind of hard to target enemies with it. Because you have to, it's not a ground targeted. Ground targeted things are easy. You press the button, you see where it's at on the ground, and then boom, you just left click, and you hit the enemies. Targeting skills are a little harder in Woodley World because you actually have to click on the enemy you want to hit, and doing that in a 50-man Zerg is kind of a pain in the ass. A lot of people get around this by having keybinds for, next enemy, nearest enemy, setting targets, taking targets, but that eats up a lot of keybinds. As you can see, my keybinds are all really close to my WASD, and that's because I'm not filling those other keybinds up with, things like strafe, things like about face, things like targeting skills, because targeting enemies with the action camera is very easy. You just find an enemy or an ally, and then right-click on them. It's pretty easy to find them, and since you have complete control of your camera at all times, targeting becomes a lot easier. And I'll demonstrate this with the Scepter 3. So, an important thing to know with the Scepter is, or not the Scepter, with the action cam, is go down to Options, go down to Auto Targeting, and click this. What this allows you to do with the action camera is, you can see right now the action camera is in the center of my screen. It's just this little dot. But when I get it closer to this black bear, you'll see it changes right there. This means that the black bear is not targeted. And when I press so say I'm out here, it's just the dot, bear's not targeted. I go to cast Scepter 3, you must have an enemy targeted to use that skill. Now I'm targeting that black bear. Boom. Now I wasn't in range there. If I was a little bit closer, you can see I'm attacking him. So I'll show you what it looks like with the Scepter. So oh, I guess not. Alright, I'll show you what it looks like now. I'll get 900 range. Click off the bear. Bear is targeted. Now I'll cast Scepter 3. Boom, right on top of its head. This is a very good way to use this skill in World v. World because basically all you have to do is aim your camera at the enemy commander, get within 900 range, and then cast the Scepter 3 button. It's pretty simple. It also comes with some quirks. You can view it as an advantage or a disadvantage. I'll leave that up to you. As you saw earlier, the ability went off when I wasn't in range. That's something that you can do with it. So, for instance, I'll show you here again. Not in range. Grasping Dead is not in range. Bear is targeted. I go to cast it. Not in range. The ability misses. So that's a potential downside because it means you need to know what 900 range looks like. You need to kind of have that internalized. And I missed earlier. I was just out of range. Thought I wasn't in range. It allows you to do some interesting things. Say the enemy commander is running towards you, but he's not in 900 range yet. You can see with the bear, I'll cast it. Didn't go off. But when you cast the Scepter 3, it creates that black cloud, and then like half a second later it does the damage and the strips. That's really advantageous with the action camera because what you can do is you can wait for the commander to start running towards you, and before he's even in range, when he's at about 1100, you can cast the scepter ability. It'll go through the channel, then the black cloud will appear, and by the time the commander has moved forward, he'll be in range and he'll actually get hit by it. So that's a little advantage you can use. If you're playing a Necro, I really think you need to find a way to do your targeting. You need to get your targeting down so that you can be hitting people with this reliably, because it's probably the most important skill that Necros have outside of Well of Suffering. So hope you learned something from the little tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys.